Yes, madam, please, please. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. And good morning to all. See, when I speak of the opening remark on Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, it is an initiative of Government of India to celebrate and commemorate 75 years of independence and the glorious history of its people, culture, and achievements. The official journey of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav commenced on 12th March 2021, which started a 75-week countdown towards 75th anniversary of independence and will end post a year on 15th August 2023. Following are the five themes of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav: freedom struggle, ideas at 75, a resolve at 75, actions at 75, achievements at 75. Government of India has made several efforts to create awareness of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. They have launched the website amritmahotsav.nic.in Government has encouraged public to pin a flag with a certification. Most of it have done that. The prominence of India and Har Ghar Tiranga video songs are uploaded in the government website. How to put Tiranga as my profile picture, social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all are posted in the website. And we are also applied it to. Government also conducted various competitions like Rangoli, Deshbhakti Geet, Lori, etc. in the website. So lot of awareness also created. The tricolor flag is a symbol of pride for every Indian. It represents national integrity and signifies the hopes and aspirations of the Indian people. Har Ghar Tiranga is a campaign and the aegis of Azadi Amrit Mahotsav to encourage people to bring the Tiranga home and to host it to mark the 75th year of India's independence. Our relationship with the flag has always been more formal, official, and institutional than personal. So, bringing the flag home collectively as a nation in the 75th year of independence thus become symbolic of not only an act of personal connection to the Tiranga, but also an embodiment of our commitment to the nation building. So the idea behind the initiative is to invoke the feeling of patriotism in the heart of people and to promote awareness about Indian national flag. As a part of Azadi Kamruta Mahotsav celebration, IGNOU Bangalore, in coordination with LSC 13151 SGM College of Science, Arts and Commerce, Chitradurga has arranged a webinar on nationality and the national flag. So let us celebrate this Janavashav as a proud Indian. Jai Hind. Thank you, ma'am. Now the session is handed over to Dr. Hemamali, please. Yes, yes, ma'am. Please, ma'am, please.
Thank you, Madam Hemamali. In fact, I feel it's a great honor to associate myself with IGNOU, and that too in a program like this, when we share our thoughts with all of you regarding our nation and nationality, national flag, and so on. It's in fact a privilege for me to talk on this occasion, and I thank all the concerned authorities of the IGNOU center, regional center, and other people. At the same time, let me wish all the persons the Azadi Mahotsav greetings. In fact, today I'm supposed to talk on two aspects of this almost an identical subject called nationality and national flag. So can we have the presentation, madam? Is it possible, or shall I go ahead? So when we let it be displayed, in the meantime I keep talking. Am I audible? Am I audible, madam?
Yes, sir.
Fine, thank you. So the term nationality and nationalism, I mean all these aspects, so though it is a kind of foreign origin, but that can be linked to our traditional knowledge about the nation. It is clear, man. It's aware. It is being displayed. So, though these words are a bit alien to us, but right from the days of Vedas, so we've been using a word similar to that in the form of Rashtra. Though the term Rashtra or the word Rashtra do not represent nation, but we considered that to be more appropriate in our connection with respect to this country and its various aspects. So that's why when it comes to the nation and nationality, so we go by the meaning of the word Rashtra and Rashtriyata. So Rashtra means what? Rashtriyata means what? Similar to, of course, as I have told you, so there are not exactly the words which give the same impression like that of dharma. So there is no parallel in English for the word dharma. It is not religion. Many times, we will be misusing the word religion for dharma, but religion has a different connotation and meaning with respect to dharma. In the same way, Rashtra and Rashtriyata or Rashtriyate. So there are two different things which cannot be represented by the word nation and nationality. But still, for time being, let us assume that they coexist and they represent these two ideas, which we have in fact envisaged in our literature. Now, what is a nation? Or what is a Rashtra? Next slide, please. So, shall we have the next slide? Actually, we have a constitution. In fact, our nation, our country is being has adopted a constitution in which we unequivocally start with our name, that is India, that is Bharat. And obviously, Indian means national. Sometimes, as we have called also as Bharata, we call it as Bharatiya. So, Bharatiya or Indian. So, these are the two words which we often use to represent our nationality. Many times, while filling the forums and while mentioning about ourselves, we say we are Indian national. our nationality is Indian. And of course, as I have told you, our constitution itself says that India is representing Bharat, and that is Bharat. Now, when you come to when you look at these two words, India and Bharat, or the nation, which is representing a vast country like this, sometimes there is a feeling among people that this entire country or the nation got its prominence during the British rule. In fact, some people even assume that our India was reborn in 1947. Actually, Bharat, if you look into more specifically, this name Bharat is there for our country from a very, very long time. In fact, the term Mahabharata, an epic which happened during this in around 4,000, 5,000 years back. So this Mahabharata epic or Mahabharata Yuddha or Mahabharata various things associated with that Mahabharata war, that represents the entire country. So even before that, we were called Bharata Varsha, Aryavarta, so Hindustan, Jambudweep. So when you look into the literature, so we've been called by these various names representing an identical country. In fact, even Vishnu Purana goes to the extent of mentioning our country and its boundaries between Himalaya and Hindu Mahasagar. So there is a very interesting shloka there. Uttaram yat samudrasya himadreshchaiva dakshinam varsham tad bharatam nama bharati yatra santati. Or Himalayam samarabhya yavad indu sarovaram tam deva nirmitam desham hindustanam prachakshati. I mean, these two shlokas clearly represent or clearly describe the landmass available to us in the form of Hindustana or Bharata or Bharatiya who are residing there. So, from time immemorial, of course, from a very long time we can say, we've been living in this land, being called as Bharatiya, or being worshipping Bharat, or being considered as Hindustan, or Aryavarta. I mean, all these things, makes a sense that this nationhood, or Rashtriyata, or Rashtra, concept of Rashtra and Rashtriyata, it was there, well, very much existing, even before Britishers came over. Not just the Britishers. If you look into the history of this great land, we can see for the past so many years, right from 2,400 years ago, the Alexander's invasion of Greek. So since then, there are so many people coming over here engaged in wars, sometimes defeating us, sometimes getting defeated, sometimes driving us into different parts, and again driving away from our land. I mean, all this happened. When I remember the story of Chandragupta and Chanakya, I remember a small incident. In fact, I don't know exactly the actual happening of that particular incident, but in Chanakya serial, I saw that, and it is a very great significance, I think, with respect to the idea of nation, which we had earlier. I don't know how many of you have seen that Chanakya serial. In that serial, there is a situation where that Vishnu Gupta comes back to Pataliputra, and again we will be searching for a suitable avenue to fight the Alexander. So once while walking there on the street, he saw some people, some children playing there, and they were playing the game of Raja and Sevakas. There was a Raja there sitting on a stone, and there were some Sevakas, and one Sevaka brought a person. Bringing a person, he said, Maharaj, he has done this much of sin, he has committed this sin, he has stolen his theft, and on the charges, bring him here. He gave him punishment. Then that Raja, that Chandragupta, he was a small boy there, so acting like a Raja, he said, "Oh, you send him to the jail for 30 days, some other punishment," he said. Then that Sevaka was telling him, "No, no, Raja, this is a person from the neighborhood, not our land, not our Ganarajya. He's from the neighboring Ganarajya. So you need to give him a capital punishment, better, a larger punishment, bigger punishment than this." So like that, he says. Now the interesting part comes, that is the boy, the Chandragupta, who was sitting there acting like a Maharaja, he orders, he says, "No, no, no, the punishment is common. Whatever may be the region from which he comes, Malavi, Kutch, whatever it is, Ganarajya he belongs to. From Kanyakumari to Kashmir, the entire land is one. That is Bharat. So I am the king of Bharat, and I have a common rule for everyone." So like that he speaks. Then the Chanakya, so he was surprised by this brilliance of this boy, and later approaches him and asks why you could make this statement. Then he said, "This is the fact." Then the Chanakya realizes the maturity of the boy and takes him to the Takshashila and tries there, and he becomes the king thereafter to establish a very vast empire of Maurya dynasty. Now, the thing I am going to tell you here is, or rather narrate here is, the kind of Rashtriyate, what was there evident even with a boy. He was a boy, not a learned person. He was just a person who was working, playing there, but maybe uneducated also. But still, he had that idea. So this idea of belongingness to a vast country, vast heritage, so that is connected to the Rashtriya, and that is the nation. So let us see how this nationhood being seen by our eminent personalities in our country. Let's see the next slides. Now, the nation, according to Vivekananda, so Swami Vivekananda has his own idea of the nation, and according to him, actually he was very much fond of this country. In fact, we might have learned the stories of him while returning as a mad person. He throws himself the sand on his head and says, "No, I am purified by the grace of my motherland," or the pure Matrubhumi soil has made me pure, like that he was saying. He says, if there is any land on this earth that can lay claim to be a blessed Punya Bhumi, he doesn't just say Bharat, he says Punya Bhumi Bharat. the land where the humanity has attained its highest towards gentleness, towards generosity, towards purity, towards calmness, above all, the land of introspection and spirituality. So, Vivekananda recognizes the vast greatness of this land. It is not just a barren land of people living there, but people who are practicing a noble life and has taught the others this nobility, how to live happily, how to live with this other things, and how to live with the entire world, universe, for universal prosperity and universal happiness. So that is living for others. So this greatest secret of spiritual thing was being practiced in this land. And that is why he calls this as a Punya Bhumi. So the nation for him was not just an entity which was associated with people and a government. That is a foreign conception. That's why I said Rashtra. So he said Rashtra, this Rashtra is associated, is the embodiment of the Punya Bhumi. So that was his idea about Bharat. And that is why he respected and he lived for the people of this Bharat Mata. Let us see the next one. In fact, we can also see the wordings of Gandhiji. So for Gandhiji, next slide please. So according to Gandhiji, so we are one nation before British entered. Now, if you look into the voyage conducted by Vasco da Gama, maybe in 1498, maybe 1500, in the 15th century. So after that, the various people came over here for the trade, and much before they came here, much before they entered. So this was a nation, and it was made undivided land by the nature itself. And the beauty of this land is the unity in diversity. Actually, here, very interesting thing is we can find more than thousands of languages being spoken by people in this country. A varieties of tradition, beliefs, faiths, and their customs, language. I mean, all these diversity, in spite of all these diversifying aspects, we could see the people here, they feel like they are one. That is, there is a kind of unity here, and this unity in diversity makes this a nation. Throughout the length and breadth of this country, you can see some common features. Like, for example, our approach or rather towards some God like. So there is a common God, there is a God, there is a not a common God, there is a God, and this God can be termed by or can be called by different names. Devanobba Namahala. Ekam Satyapra Bahuda Vadanti. So this essence is being found in almost all sects which we find in the length and breadth of this country. Our attitude towards the water. In fact, water we call it as Ganga Mata. So whether it's in the places where Ganga is flowing or not flowing, even if you look at the southern part, Ganga Snanam, they will say. The Ganga is a sacred river. So this concept and Ganga Jala for water, we will say Ganga Jala, Go Mata. I mean, all these, if you look into these values, you can see the all regions are enriched with these noble values. And this cultural aspect is the common thread among all the people. And though there is a diversity, there is a unity. So this is the interesting finding that we can look into Mahatma's words. And he sees a nation here, woven by this common thread of unity, though in the form of various diversity. Now we will come to the next, another interesting personality in the form of Aurobindo, Sri Aurobindo. So he was in the forefront of Indian freedom struggle. He was also worked as a revolutionary. In fact, he was framed in a fake case, Alipur bomb case. Of course, it was not proved there in the court. Next slide, please, madam. And later, after working in the freedom struggle, so because of so many reasons and tremendous longing of spiritual sadhana, he went into Pondicherry and pursued his sadhana there of yoga, and later kept inspiring us through his work. According to Aravinda, he was, of course, we can say, one of the brilliant person in our recent past, a gigantic master. And if you look into his thoughts of India, he says, a nation is not a part, it's not a piece of earth, it is not a figure of spirit, not a fiction of mind. It's a mighty Shakti which is immortal, and even when geographically fragmented and divided, it has the power to reunite itself as one unity in diversity. So he says, or rather he sees this nation not in the form of mountains, not in the form of, say, the forest and other things. According to him, it's a divine manifestation of a greater Shakti. Like our Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, so he describes this in his song Vande Mataram. Later it was taken as the national song. So in Vande Mataram, according to Bankim Chandra, it's a combination of Lakshmi, Durga and Saraswati. Of course, we worship them in the form of a deity, but the nation or the entire country for us is being looked through in such connotation. So that was the spirit of nation, or that was the spirit of Rashtra. So Rashtra Mata, Bharat Mata. So that was the kind of belief Bankim Chandra expressed through his song Vande Mataram. The same thing Yogi Aravinda says. So Sri Aurobindo, according to him, this is the embodiment of manifestation of a Shakti, manifestation of divine power. So the divinity he could see in this country. Now let us see another interesting description done by Nivedita. So Sister Nivedita is a Irish girl, but later got fascinated with the teachings of Swami Vivekananda, became a disciple, and stayed in our country. And throughout her life, the remaining part, she dedicated it to our country, whether it's education of girl children, or the revolutionary movement, or educating us about our country itself and participating in the freedom struggle. When all these things, she took part in a very spirited way. She says, the whole history of the world shows that the Indian intellect is second to none. Are the countrymen of Bhaskaracharya, Shankaracharya inferior to the countrymen of Newton and Darwin? I mean, at that time, it was considered, in fact, it was a policy of the Britishers to make themselves one up and show us down. So they created various theses, and that white man's burden and other aspects in which we were shown to be very much inferior. So this inferiority complex was to be removed. So Nivedita showed us the greatness of our country through the people who lived in this country. Whether it's Shankaracharya or Bhaskaracharya. Bhaskaracharya, a great scientist, and Shankaracharya, a great spiritual leader. So these people who make this country is a country of greatness, great country. And through them, we could see this entire country is not just an ordinary thing. It is a very important country among the community of the world. So this greatness of this land was being described through his description. Now, if you just, of course, I was amused to see an interesting debate in the recent in the Lok Sabha also regarding our nationhood and our nationality. Even to some extent, some leaders in the parliament, or the members of the parliament, they even went to the extent of saying that this is not a nation, and it is just a configuration of, or a federation of, or union of some states. Yes, in our constitution, we have mentioned it as a union of state. But how, to what extent, in what way it is enacted? Through what it is enacted? What is the gum holding them? So how it has been blended into? So this blending has been done through this spirituality, or through this heritage, through this culture, through this great people who have lived for. So if that is if it were just an combination or confederation or union of some states, then why did they fight against Britishers? Was it the fighting only for the region? For example, we know the famous trio Lal Bal Pal. So Lal Bal Pal at that time were the fiercest and which with the Britishers they feared most of these people. So one is among the Lal Bal Pal. Lal is Lala Lajpat Rai. He was Punjab. Did he fight the freedom struggle to liberate Punjab, or to liberate India, or liberate Bharat? Actually, when he was hit by police constables in Uttar Pradesh, in Lucknow, in Varanasi, to be more specific, then people of Varanasi, including small boys like Chandrasekhar, so they went against the police. beat the police, they threw stones towards police. What did they do? If we were just a representative of Punjab, why UP people, UP, even children of UP started fighting for Lala Lajpat Rai? The next person, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bal. So he was from Maharashtra. Did he fight for the freedom of Maharashtra then? There is one more name called Pal, Bipin Chandra Pal. So Bipin Chandra Pal is from Bengal, was from Bengal. Was he fighting for the liberation of Bengal then? When you look into even Swami Vivekananda, who did not enter directly, so we consider him as the entire world looked into him not as a person from Bengal, not as a Bengali. So his Vivekananda is very much dear to every one of us. He didn't speak our language. He was not a person from Kannada. ಅವರು ಕನ್ನಡದ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಾಗಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಕನ್ನಡ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರಿಗೆ. ಅವ್ರು ತಮಿಳು ಮಾತಾಡೋರಾಗಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಳಸಿಂಗ ಪೆರುಮಾಳ ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನ್ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ the thing is beyond language there is a binding. You can see the bond there is there between Vivekananda and every one of us, because he represents this country, he represented this Rashtra, he represented this nation. So that is why even the person who is there in America speaks about this. We feel very much the moment we remember that, we'll be feeling ecstatic about it, getting excited, because he represented this country, he represented this dharma, he represented this Rashtra. So this Rashtriyata or Rashtra Bhavana was flowing in our country from a very, very long time. And we belong to that, and that is our nationhood. So that is our nationality. So that is our Rashtriyata. If you look into the Shankaracharya, so Shankaracharya is a person from Kerala, but nobody recognizes him as a Keralite. He's an embodiment of the intellectual capacity of this country. He started 4 mathas at 4 different parts of this country. Even in Jammu Kashmir, he's been respected. Why? Because he represented the ethos of this land. He represented this culture of this land. He represented the vast knowledge of this land. And that is why he is being respected all over this country, and of course, beyond this country. So this legacy makes this nation. And when we start thinking about this, it is possible for us to become, it's possible for us to explore our nationality. So this nation is a very, very old nation, Rashtra, and whoever lives here, whoever thinks that we are a part of it, can be called as the nationals. Now let us come to the next part called the flag. That is the symbol which is representing this nation. Okay. When the freedom movement was happening there, in fact, this flag concept is a very, very old concept of which has been practiced even in our country. Various mathas, various institutions, they had their own symbol, symbolic representation in the form of flag. Even we had Arjuna in his Ratha, a flag was there. Rama was having a flag. Ravana was having, various kings, they were having their own flags. During the freedom movement, people thought that we can also have a flag. We can also have, I mean, the movement can become stronger or rather become more visible when we carry flags there. Then I think if you look into the history of flags, so we can have a varieties of flags representing various dynasties, various kings and other things. But when we look into the freedom struggle, let us look at the tricolor part. So I think Madam Kama, Madam Bikaji Kama, during 1907, so she prepared a, and in fact she wanted that to displayed during all the protest. So next slide, please. So with that, I think people started using flag. When you look into the concept of flag, actually people say, what is there in it? It is just a piece of cloth, etc. No, it is not just a piece of cloth. This cloth, represents the entire country. In fact, we are having a flag now, a tricolor with a chakra there, and it is representing a nation. It is representing the entire country. So when you see the people who are watching a cricket match, imagine a person like Kohli, Sachin Tendulkar, or some other batsman from our country hits a 4 or a 6. Then the people starts waving a flag. Actually, this tricolor which is being waved by them, actually their appreciation towards India is being displayed. ಈಗ ಅವರು ಇಡೀ ಭಾರತನ ಅಲುಗಾಡ್ಸಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಭಾರತದ ಬದಲು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಟಿವ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಅವರು ವೇವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ಸಾರಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಹಾರಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಅಲುಗಾಡ್ಸ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, an appreciation towards this country. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಭಾರತ ಗೆಲ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಭಾರತ 6 ಹೊಡಿತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೊಡೆದಿದ್ದು ವಿರಾಟ್ ಕೊಹ್ಲಿ, ಹೊಡೆದಿದ್ದು ಸಚಿನ್ ತೆಂಡೂಲ್ಕರ್, ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನ್ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ದೇ ಆರ್ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ, ದೇರ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಈಸ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಲೆಬ್ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ರೀತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಸೆಲೆಬ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫ್ಲಾಗ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದ ಒಂದು ಸಿಂಬಾಲಿಕ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಅವರ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಈಗ ನಾವು ಸದ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರೈಕಲರ್ ಇದೆ, ಆ ಟ್ರೈಕಲರ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಕೂಡ ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. ಈ ಟ್ರೈಕಲರ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಬಂತು, ಹೌ ವಿ ಗಾಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಟ್ರೈಕಲರ್? So let us just briefly look into the history of this national flag. Okay. Now, as I have told you, we started with Madam Kama, who created a flag similar to that of the present version, but it has 3 parts where we could see distinctly the Surya, Chandra, and Kamala. Next, can we have the next slide, madam? ನೋಡಿ, ಅವಾಗ actually in the beginning of 20th century, 1905 to 1908, so there was a very big movement in our country in the form of Vande Mataram Chalavali, Vangabhanga Chalavali. Bengal was divided by the then Viceroy Karjan, and later it was reunited because of the consistent and strong protest throughout the country. ನೋಡಿ, ಮತ್ತೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಬೆಂಗಾಲ್ನ ವಿಭಜನೆ ಆದಾಗ ದೇಶದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಲಾಹೋರ್, ಪಂಜಾಬ್, ಅಂಡ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಇನ್ ಮುಂಬೈ, ಪುಣೆ, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬಂಗಾಲಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. But the national fervor was so strong against Britishers, Then finally, that proclamation was cancelled. That statement through which the ordinance, through which they divided Bengal, was repealed. ಅದು ವಾಪಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬಂಗಾಲ ಒಂದೇ ಆಯ್ತು. ಅಂತ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಕಾಮಾ ಅವರು 1907 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. At that time there were 8 provinces ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಮದ್ರಾಸ್ ಪ್ರಾವಿನ್ಸ್, ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಪ್ರಾವಿನ್ಸ್, ಮುಂಬೈ ಪ್ರಾವಿನ್ಸ್, ಆತರ. ಹಾಗ ಆ 8 ಪ್ರಾವಿನ್ಸ್ ನ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ 8 ಕಮಲಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಒಂದೇ ಮಾತ್ರ, ದಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಅ ಮಂತ್ರ ಆಫ್ ದ ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಅಟ್ ದ ಸೆಂಟರ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಕೆಂಪು, ಅದು ನಮ್ದು ಶೌರ್ಯದ ಸಂಕೇತ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ತೇಜಸ್ಸಿನ ಸಂಕೇತ, ಮತ್ತು ಚಂದ್ರ ಮತ್ತು ಸೂರ್ಯ. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಕ್ಷಾಕು ವಂಶ ಮತ್ತು ಚಂದ್ರವಂಶ, ಈ ಎರಡೂ ವಂಶದ ರಾಜರು, ಸೂರ್ಯವಂಶ ಚಂದ್ರವಂಶದ ರಾಜರು ಆಳಿದ್ರು ಅನ್ನೋ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಆ ಥರದ್ದು ಹೀಗೆ. ಸೊ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಕಾಮ, ಸೊ ಶಿ ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಎ ಫ್ಲಾಗ್, and in fact to some extent in during various protests she used this flag to represent our country. Next slide please. Then actually at that time there were of course Gandhiji was in the forefront of the movement. Then people started using some other something other flags, you know. So they were looking for a better one. So one person, Pingali Venkayya, ಅವರು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಮಚಿಲಿಪಟ್ಟಣದವರು, ಆಂಧ್ರ ಪ್ರದೇಶದವರು. ಅವರು ವಿಜಯವಾಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಅಧಿವೇಶನ ಆದಾಗ, ಸೊ ಹಿ ವಿಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ದಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಗಾಂಧೀಜಿ. ನಮ್ದೇನು ಇಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಚಳವಳಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, ಸತ್ಯಾಗ್ರಹ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, ನಮ್ಗೊಂದು ಪ್ರೇರಣೆ ಬೇಕು, ಒಂದು ಸ್ಫೂರ್ತಿ ಬೇಕು. ವಿ ಶಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎ ಫ್ಲಾಗ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಫೈಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಇಟ್. ಸೊ ವಿ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎ ಫ್ಲಾಗ್. ದೆನ್ ಗಾಂಧೀಜಿ ಸಜೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಹಿಮ್. ಇನ್ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಒಂದು 10 ಬಾರಿ repeatedly he was pressurizing Gandhiji and various Congress leaders to have our own flag. ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಫ್ಲಾಗ್ ಬೇಕು, ನಮ್ಮ ಫ್ಲಾಗ್ ನ ಇದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವರು ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡೋಣ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವ್ರು ಸುಮಾರು 8-10 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಅದನ್ನ ತಳ್ಳಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಫೈನಲಿ ಗಾಂಧೀಜಿ giving the nod to prepare a flag, and it was Pingali Venkayya first who designed the tricolor. ಅದರೊಳಗೆ ವೈಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಪ್, ಒಂದು ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಪ್, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ರೆಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಪ್, ಮತ್ತೆ ಚರಕ. ಹೀಗೆ ಚರಕ ಅಟ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ವಾಸ್ ಇನ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಎ ಸಿಂಬಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ವರ್ಕ್ಮನ್ಶಿಪ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸತ್ಯಾಗ್ರಹ ಆಲ್ಸೋ, and therefore it was placed there. And in fact in the Lahore session of Congress, so they in 1929, so it was in fact it was hoisted there during that session. ಸೊ ಪಿಂಗಳಿ ವೆಂಕಯ್ಯ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಈಗಿನ ಟ್ರೈಕಲರ್ ಜನಕ ಅಂತ ಕರೀಬಹುದು. ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಲೇಟರ್ ವೇರಿಯಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ವರ್ ಮೇಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್, ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸೇ ಹಿಮ್ ಆಸ್ ದ ಫೌಂಡರ್ ಆಫ್, ಆರ್ ಅದರ್ ದ ಡಿಸೈನರ್, I mean the architect of our present tricolor. Next slide please. Then after learning about, after considering the usage of this flag, you know, so the Congress came with a committee, flag committee ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಫ್ಲಾಗ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಒಳಗೆ 6 ಜನ ಪ್ರಮುಖರು, ಮುನ್ಷಿ ಕನ್ನಯ್ಯಲಾಲ್ ಮುನ್ಷಿ, ಹಾಗೇನೆ Dr. Ambedkar, Rajendra Prasad was the chief of that. He was the president, and with him there were many scholars to take a decision about the flag. ಅವರು ಪಿಂಗಳಿ ವೆಂಕಯ್ಯನ ರಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಟ್ರೈಕಲರ್ ಗಿಂತ actually our country is famous for the saffron, is well known for saffron. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಸ್ಯಾಫ್ರನ್ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಧ್ವಜ, ರೆಕ್ಟಾಂಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್, ಅದರೊಳಗೆ ಚರಕ, ಚರಕ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ಸತ್ಯಾಗ್ರಹ, ದಿ ವರ್ಕ್ಮನ್ಶಿಪ್ ಆರ್ ದ ವಿಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ನೆಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್, ಆ ತರ ಇರ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಚರಕನ ಒಂದು ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು. ಹೀಗೆ ದ ಫ್ಲಾಗ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಕೇಮ್ ಅಪ್ ವಿತ್ an anonymous suggestion of this flag to represent our country. ಆದ್ರೆ ಟ್ರೈಕಲರ್ ಅದು ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತನೋ ಅಥವಾ ಕೇಸರಿ ಬೇಡ ಅಂತಲೋ ಹೀಗೆ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಆಯ್ತು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಆದ ನಂತರ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ admitted or accepted another flag similar to that of the one which has been designed by Pingali Venkayya, with a tricolor with different colors. ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಸ್ಯಾಫ್ರನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಈ ಫ್ಲಾಗ್ ಕಮಿಟಿಯ ಸಜೆಷನ್ ಇದ್ದರಿಂದಾಗಿ, so they had 3 different strips now, starting with saffron. Next slide please. So we started with saffron there, and again of course as usual central ಅವರು ವೈಟ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಹಾಗೆ ಉಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು. ಚರಕ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ವೈಟ್ ಪೋರ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚರಕ ಹಾಕಿ. So this was adopted by National Congress in 1930. Now, in the meantime, we could see a kind of people who were having a different idea than that of the regular leaders of Congress then. So Jawaharlal Nehru, Gandhiji, Sardar Patel. So this was one group. There was one more group. We started from Aurobindo and again Bal Gangadhar Tilak and other things. So they called them as extremists. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತೀವ್ರಗಾಮಿಗಳು, ಮಂದಗಾಮಿಗಳು, ತೀವ್ರಗಾಮಿಗಳು ಅಂತ ಕರೆದಿದ್ರು. ಅದರೊಳಗೆ ಪ್ರಮುಖರಾದಂಥವ್ರು ನೇತಾಜಿ ಸುಭಾಷ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಬೋಸ್. ಸೊ ನೇತಾಜಿ ಸುಭಾಷ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಬೋಸ್ ಅವರು ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ನ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರು ಕೂಡ ಆಗಿದ್ರು ಒಂದು ಟರ್ಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದಾದ ನಂತರ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ಒಂದು ತೀವ್ರಗಾಮಿಗಳು ಅನ್ನೋ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒತ್ತಾಸ ಸಿಗಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರ ಮನಸ್ಸನ್ನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬೇರೆ ತರ ನಾವು ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. So then that made him to go away from this country. So at that time Ras Bihari Bose ಅವರು Azadi Force ಅಂತ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. So he took charge of Azadi Force. ಅದರ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಆರ್ಮಿ ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಕರೀತಾರೆ, ಏನೇ ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. So this Azadi Force, so they prepared a different plan. In fact ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ಕಾರ 47ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಹಾಕಿನ ಮುಂಚೆ ಒಂದು ಆಜಾದ್ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. The first prime minister of Azad Sarkar, Azad government was himself, Netaji himself. ಅದರ ಫ್ಲಾಗ್ ಯಾವುದು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ನೋಡೋಣ. ಅದರೊಳಗೆ 2 ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಪ್, ಅದರೊಳಗೆ ಆಜಾದ್ ಅಂತ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ವೈಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂದಂತ, ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಒಂದು ಹುಲಿಯ ಚಿತ್ರ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಸಾಧಾರಣ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳಲ್ಲ. ಭಾರತ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಫೇಮಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವೇಲರ್. ಆ ವೇಲರ್ನ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಹುಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಹಾರುತ್ತಿರುವ ಹುಲಿಯ ಸಿಂಬಲ್ ನ ಅವರಿಗೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಚರಕನ ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಕರ್ಮಶೀಲತೆಗೆ ನಾವು ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಶೌರ್ಯವನ್ನ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಹುಲಿಯನ್ನ ಹಾಕಿ ಅವರು ಅದನ್ನ ಫ್ಲಾಗ್ ಅಂತ ಅಂಗೀಕಾರ ಮಾಡಿ, ಅದು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಇತಿಹಾಸದ ಒಂದು ಭಾರತವನ್ನು ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಧ್ವಜ ಅಂತ ಗುರುತಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ನಂತರ ನಾನು ಆಗ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದಂತೆ, ಸೊ ಧ್ವಜ ಸಮಿತಿ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯವನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಚರಕ ಏನ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಸ್ವೀಕಾರ ಮಾಡಿತ್ತು. ಆ ಚರಕ ಅದು ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂಥರ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಬೆಟರ್ ಟು ರಿಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಬೈ ಎ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಂಬಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಈಗಿರುವ ಟ್ರೈಕಲರ್ ಅದು ಅಂಗೀಕೃತ ಆಯ್ತು. ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್. ಸೊ ದ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಟ್ರೈಕಲರ್ is having 3 strips which saffron, white and green strips. ಮಧ್ಯ ಒಂದು ಚಕ್ರ ಇದೆ. ಈ ಚಕ್ರ ಯಾವುದು? ಈ ಅಶೋಕನ ಲಾಂಛನವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು 24 ಸ್ಪೈಕ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಚಕ್ರ. ಕಡು ನೀಲಿ ಬಣ್ಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಬಿಳಿಯ ಒಂದು ಭಾಗದ ಮೇಲೆ ಮುದ್ರಣ ಮಾಡಿ, ಅದರ ಕಡು ನೀಲಿ ಬಣ್ಣನೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನೀಲಿ ಬಣ್ಣದ ಒಂದು ಚಕ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂಕಿತವಾಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ಚಕ್ರ ನಾವು ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೈಥಾಲಜಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಕಾಲಚಕ್ರ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಾಲ ಉರುಳ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶ ಸಾವಿರಾರು ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ಈ ತರ ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಮ್ಮemorial, so we have been passing through different ages, and through all these ages, so we have been there and we have been living even today. So ಇದನ್ನ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ವಿಶಿಷ್ಟವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಚಕ್ರ, ವೀಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಾ, ವೀಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಧರ್ಮ, ಟ್ರೂತ್, ಮೋಷನ್. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಚರೈವೇತಿ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಶಬ್ದ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಇಡೀ ಜಗತ್ತು ಚಲನಶೀಲವಾಗಿದೆ. ಆ ಚಲನೆಯನ್ನ ನಾವು ಗೌರವಿಸಿದೀವಿ, ಗುರುತಿಸಿದೀವಿ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ರೀತಿಯ ಜಗತ್ತು ಚಲನಶೀಲ, ಭಾರತವು ಕೂಡ ಚಲನಶೀಲ, ಭಾರತ ಕ್ರಿಯಾಶೀಲ, ಹೀಗೆಲ್ಲ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಅಶೋಕನ ಒಂದು ಸಿಂಬಲ್ ಚಕ್ರವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನೀಗ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಧ್ವಜ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಯಾಫ್ರನ್ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದ ಒಂದು ವಿವೇಕಾನಂದ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಈ ದೇಶ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೆಂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟಿಂಗ್ 2 ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಐಡಿಯಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲೈಫ್, ತ್ಯಾಗ ಅಂಡ್ ಸೇವಾ. ಈ ತ್ಯಾಗ ಮತ್ತು ಸೇವೆ ಇದೆರಡು ಕೂಡ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಸ್ಯಾಫ್ರನ್. ಹಾಗೇನೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಬೆಳಕು ಬರ್ಬೇಕು, ಬೆಳಕಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಭಾರತ ಹೆಸರು, ಭಾರತ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೇನೆ ಬೆಳಕಿನ ಒಂದು ಬೀರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಆ ಬೆಳಕಿನ ಕಿರಣದ ಸ್ವರೂಪವಾಗಿ ಅದು ಬಿಳಿಯ ಬಣ್ಣ. ಹಾಗೇನೆ ನಮ್ ದೇಶ ಇದು ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯನ್ನು ಜೋಡಿಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ. ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಸರ್ವಪಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಧಾಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅವರು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ವೈಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರು, ಅದರ ನಂತರ ಪ್ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಭಾರತದ ಘನತೆವೆತ್ತ ರಾಜ್ಯಾಧ್ಯಕ್ಷ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಪತಿಗಳ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅವರು ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ಅವರು ಮೂಲತಃ ವಿದ್ವಾಂಸರವರು, ಫಿಲಾಸಫರ್. So he explained the basis of this three different colors and the significance and the chakra. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಈ ಟ್ರೈಕಲರ್ ಅನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಈ ಟ್ರೈಕಲರ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್ ಎಂಟೈರ್ ವಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ. ಇಷ್ಟು ಸಾವಿರ ವರ್ಷಗಳ ನಮ್ಮ ಇತಿಹಾಸದ ಒಂದು ಅದನ್ನ ಇತಿಹಾಸವನ್ನ ಹಾಗೂ ಹೋರಾಟವನ್ನ, ಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸಾಮರ್ಥ್ಯವನ್ನ, ಇದೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ತಿಳಿಸುವ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಭಾಗವಾಗಿ ಟ್ರೈಕಲರ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. So it is a duty of all of us citizens of this country or nationals of this country to respect this tricolor. So yogadinda Amrita Mahotsav ಇದೆ, 75th year of independence. So we are celebrating this country's 75th independence. ನಾವು 25 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷ್ ನಾವು ಹೊರಗೆ ಮುಗಿಸಿದ್ವಿ. ಈ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಗಳಿಸಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಆ ಗಳಿಸಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸ್ವತ್ವದ ಭಾವವನ್ನು ಅರಳಿಸ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಒಂದು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಹಿರಿದು ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅಥವಾ ಜಗಜ್ಜನನಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ, ದೇಶದ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆಯನ್ನ, ಹಿರಿಮೆಯನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಗತ್ತಿಗೆ ಸಾರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಯೋಗಿ ಅರವಿಂದ್ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಯೋಗಿ ಅರವಿಂದ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಈ ದೇಶ ಇದು ಜಗತ್ತಿಗೆ ಕಾಣಿಕೆ ಕೊಡು ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಜಗತ್ತಿಗೆ ಒಳಿತನ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸಾಮರ್ಥ್ಯ ಯಾವ್ದಾರ ದೇಶಕ್ಕಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಭಾರತಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾತ್ರ. ಸೊ ನೌ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ it is moving in the direction. So we can help the entire universe to have the prosperity, to have peace. ಆ ಚಿಂತನೆ ನಮಗಿದೆ, ಆ ಯೋಚನೆ ನಮಗಿದೆ, ಆ ಸಾಮರ್ಥ್ಯ ನಮಗಿದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಯುನೈಟ್ ಅವರ್ಸೆಲ್ಸ್. ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಭಾವನೆ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. So the basic part starts with respecting the tricolor. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಹರ್ ಘರ್ ತಿರಂಗ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ನಿತರ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಗಳು ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇದೆಲ್ಲರ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಈ ತಿರಂಗ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಗೌರವವನ್ನ, ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರ ಧ್ವಜದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಫ್ಲಾಗ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಆದರವನ್ನ, ಈ ದೇಶದ ಮೇಲೆ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಶ್ರದ್ಧೆಯನ್ನ, ಭಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ತೋರಿಸ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಭಾವ ನಾವು ಉದ್ದೀಪನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇದೆ. So we shall get educated about this, and also we shall spread this message among all the people who are around us. So I think through that we can celebrate this Amrita Mahotsav in a befitting way. And with these words, I will conclude myself, and I thank all the authorities who have made this possible, so that I can share these views with all people. Thank you. Okay, madam. Okay, madam.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.